I'm about 40% through the current race season, so I figured it's a good time to talk about how I'm doing this year compared to how I was doing last year. Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusa's Cycling Greek. 2021 was an odd year because of the COVID lockdowns. There are 2 races that I did last year that I've already done this year. In one of those races, I got 4th place last year and I got 4th place this year. In the other road race, which was a grueling road race, last year I only did 1 to 2 laps, then I dropped myself out. This year, I got 2nd place. Keep in mind that there were only 3 people in my category. We were combined with another category, but I rode that race much stronger than last year. In my eyes, that was a well-deserved placing. My 1 hour FTP is about 15 watts higher than what it was at its peak last year. In key training rides with teammates, such as you're seeing here, I am also noticeably stronger than I was last year. In fact, let's drill down into this one for some comparisons. This is one of my favorite workouts. I begin by riding 20 miles from home before I can meet up with the others. We then take off in the early flats and we're doing strong pulls into a headwind or a head crosswind. After a kind of a neutral hill in which we meet up at the top, we take off again. On the screen, you're seeing me in the middle of a 2-minute pull, leading to a right turn. That's where the fireworks are going to start. Jumping to that right turn, we finished it off by doing a little bit of climbing. I'm going to pick up my pacing just a bit on this part of the climb. Robert, who is right behind me, is pulling off a bit. He's not much of a climber. He's actually a sprinter. And right behind me, I have Terry, and he's my main competition for this workout. Now, after I said what I said about Robert, he's now shooting in front of me. His form has been improving lately. I'm now having to do over 400 watts just to connect with him. Terry's getting a free ride. Well, free ride is relative when you're going uphill. He's still having to do some watts. But I'm the guy in the front. I continue my pacing past Robert as he starts the red line and needs to back off. My objective now is to keep my pace strong enough to put pressure on Terry so he doesn't even think about wanting to come around me and leaving me in the dust. If you focus your eyes up the road, you'll see the initial crest of this first part. Last year, the best I could do is get near that crest before Terry would just leave me behind as I redlined, just huffing and puffing at the side of the road. Again, that was the best I could ever attain. Usually I would die off before then. This year's a little bit different. I'm a little bit stronger. Jumping ahead 30 seconds, we're now at the crest. I'm still leading, and I'm now gladly going to pull off and let Terry take the lead. We're going to go down a little bit, but it's not going to be that easy. Terry's going to keep the pressure on, and that pressure is going to delay my recovery, and I'm going to need to be recovered before we hit that next climb. While what we were on was a climb, it was more of a long, gradual, steady climb. What we're going to be heading into is a 4 to 5 minute steep hill. Jumping ahead to about 50 seconds into that second climb, I'm doing about 400 to 450 watts just to stay with Terry until I can't stay with Terry. He's taken off, and I am now I'm actually going to dial back a bit. Robert's back there. We're going to be having some more fun still, and after the ride, I have about 15 miles to ride to get back home. This is a work night, and I got to be up 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. If I do too much and I get amped, I'm going to have a hard time getting to sleep tonight. Jumping ahead to about 2 to 3 miles before the finish, or at least the part where we separate, and I go about 20 miles to go home. I said previously 15 miles to get home, but it's actually 20. It's my turn at the front again, and I'm pulling into a mostly low-grade sustained riser. My goal here is to sustain a strong enough pace all the way to the top. 90 seconds later, you can see I accomplished that. Now, when I pulled off, I was glad to pull off, and I was looking to get right on Robert's wheel. At that point, Terry attacks. Could I have jumped onto Terry's wheel? I'm not sure. Maybe I could have, but I'd put in a huge effort, and even though Robert has been putting in some big wattages during this ride, I figured he still had the legs to be able to get up to Terry, and so I just hung on his wheel. After a few seconds, Robert said he was empty, so now I had to go chase Terry. I had to catch him before the finishing climb. As it turned out, I chased for a mile before I died out, and I died out with about a half a mile to go. This was a quality workout for me. Last year at this relative point in the season, I was struggling to get into form. This year, I have that form and I'm looking to build on top of it. I got some big races coming up and some of them are really tough. I hope you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it. As always, remember, comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek. So tell me that you're fully recovered from COVID.
I really haven't gotten satisfied with 3,000 feet of climbing so far.